You are being lied to when people say that selling print-on-demand t-shirts are dead and oversaturated. Because in the last 30 days alone, I've done just shy of $100,000 in print-on-demand t-shirt sales. That's why in this video, I'm breaking down the real reason why you should start selling t-shirts too. I'll be sharing the market data that no one else is talking about. I'll share why they're the easiest product for you to sell using Facebook ads, and I'll also show you how you can price them to make a healthy margin. The fact that people think that selling print-on-demand t-shirts doesn't work anymore just opens up the floodgate of more opportunity that we're able to capitalize on. And it's why right now is the best time for you to take advantage of this. But before we get into all of the data, I just want to be clear about one thing. When you are going through videos on my channel, or maybe you've seen my videos before, I don't talk about any other products. I don't talk about the flashy new things that have come to Printify or any other platform. I don't talk about products that I personally haven't sold myself. You know, there's a lot of videos out there that say high profit margin, super flashy, easy, never before being able to sell in print on demand. I talk about the one product that consistently gets me sales, and that is t-shirts. So let's get into the data so that I can prove to you that t-shirts still work. Let's get right into the real data that is showing the complete opposite, that print-on-demand t-shirts are a dying breed. The print-on-demand market is projected to hit $57 billion by 2033, which is absolutely massive. This is compounding and growing year over year, and print-on-demand is just going to get bigger and bigger. But here's the part that most people miss. T-shirt printing alone is expected to reach $20 billion by 2033, growing at over 13% year over year. Now, this isn't a dying market. This is a booming market. And if you look at the actual platform data from Printify, Printful, Gelato, other top print-on-demand companies, it is no wonder that t-shirts are the #1 selling product every single year. It's not hoodies, it's not mugs, it's t-shirts. And this isn't just a fluke. T-shirts consistently make up 60 to 70% of all print-on-demand sales across these platforms. There is a reason for that. And that is that t-shirts are evergreen. People wear t-shirts 365 days of the year. You don't have to time your product line around holidays or seasons. You can design around hobbies, music, humor, nostalgia, literally whatever niche you're in. There's always a way to make a t-shirt relevant to literally any niche. If you're selling in January, t-shirts sell. July, t-shirts sell. October, t-shirts still sell. Now compare that to some of the other print-on-demand products that are out there, like Christmas ornaments or swimwear. You probably have 8 to 12 weeks, maybe 3 months, where demand actually exists for that product. But with t-shirts, you are always in season. So now that you've seen the data that t-shirts aren't dying out, that they're not becoming oversaturated, instead the market is continuing to grow year over year, let's get into why t-shirts are the easiest print-on-demand product to advertise on Facebook. T-shirts stand out compared to every other product, specifically when we are advertising on Facebook and Instagram. And there are a few psychological reasons why this is the case. The first is that there's instant visual recognition. You know, when someone is scrolling on their feed, just like this, and they see a t-shirt design, they understand it immediately. There's no learning curve with a t-shirt. You don't need a 3D rotation or a really in-depth advertisement explaining exactly what the product is. They don't need to have that "what is this" moment that a lot of other products have. Simply, it's a shirt with a design. That's it. Now, let's compare selling a t-shirt to a custom phone case. There are some questions that immediately go through people's minds when they're getting hit with that ad. Is this case going to fit my phone model? Is it protective? Will it be too bulky and take up too much room in my pocket or my purse? Or if it's a mug, they may ask themselves, do I even need another mug? And where will I put it? Because, you know, mugs take up a lot of space. But with t-shirts, there's none of that friction. Now, the second psychological reason why t-shirts are easier to sell on Facebook and Instagram is that there's impulse buying psychology tied to it. T-shirts are one of the most emotionally driven purchases online. Now, think about it. You're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram and you see a design that just perfectly matches your identity, or it reminds you of somebody that you love. You immediately want to click that ad and just click buy. That's because a great t-shirt design is going to trigger emotion, not logic. Now, let's say you're on Facebook and you see a funny t-shirt about wiener dogs and you happen to have a dachshund. You're going to be way more inclined to purchase that because it's speaking directly to you. Not because you need another shirt, but because it represents a piece of you and your identity. And that is why t-shirts convert so well with visual ads. They're scroll stopping, they're relatable, and they're instantly understood. Now, the third reason why t-shirts are easier to sell on Facebook and Instagram is that there's low commitment to purchase. So at $29.99, a t-shirt is considered an impulse buy. People don't need to really think about it or talk to their spouse about it before buying. This is a little bit different if you're trying to buy a cold plunge or something online. That's thousands of dollars. You're going to really think about that and think, am I going to get a really nice quality? Is it going to last? What are the reviews? People are going to really think through making that purchase. It's not going to be almost instantaneous. Now, a t-shirt is cheap enough to buy on emotion, but expensive enough that you're making real profit. Compare that to something like custom furniture or a high-ticket item where people need days or weeks to decide. So now that we know that t-shirts are a little bit easier to sell with Facebook and Instagram ads, let's talk about the elephant in the room. T-shirts are oversaturated. Here's what people don't understand about saturation. Saturation isn't a bad thing. It is actually validation. So when you see a lot of people who are selling t-shirts, that doesn't mean that the market is dead. It means that the market is massive and proven. We talk about this a lot when we are picking a niche. When we go to Etsy and Amazon and we're doing market research, it is better to pick a niche that has a lot of competition on Etsy and Amazon because it means people are really interested in purchasing for that particular niche. So here's a nice, easy way to think about this. Let's use pizza as an example. There are thousands of pizza restaurants in any city, in the country, really in the world. Pizza, I feel like, is universal. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't open a pizza place if you're someone who's passionate about making pizza. It means that people really love pizza and there's room for another player if you do it right. Now, the same thing applies to t-shirts. But here's the key difference that most people miss. You're not competing with every t-shirt seller. You're competing within your particular niche. So if you're selling dog mom shirts, you're not competing with a guy who's selling fitness shirts or a person who's selling funny dad joke shirts. You're competing with other dog mom t-shirt sellers. And even then, you're really only competing on design quality and brand positioning. Because here's the thing about niches, they are endless. Just think about how many different passions, hobbies, identities, and communities exist in the world. You have dog breeds, there are literally hundreds of them. You have music genres like metal, country, EDM, indie, each with their own subcultures. On top of that, you have occupations like nurses, teachers, engineers, mechanics. And then beyond that, you have sports teams, hobbies, political views, lifestyle choices, literally goes on and on. Every single one of these is a viable t-shirt niche. And within each of these niches, there are sub niches. So take dogs, for example. You've got a French bulldog owner, you've got German Shepherd dog owners, you have rescue dog advocates, service dog handlers. Each group wants designs that speak specifically to their experience and their identity. I have seen plenty of people create six-figure stores just selling to one particular dog niche because they understand those owners and those dogs and like their tendencies. They're able to connect with those buyers on such a personal level. Now, you're not fighting for the entire t-shirt market. You're only carving out one specific audience and then serving them better than anyone else. And here's the proof that saturation is clearly a myth. If shirts were truly saturated and dying, the market wouldn't be growing 13% year over year. If t-shirts didn't work, Printify, Printful, and Gelato wouldn't report them as their number one product every single year. Now, if margins were impossible on t-shirts, I would not be doing $100,000 months to have 15 to 20% profit margin. And the truth behind this is that most people will fail at selling t-shirts, not because the market is saturated. They'll probably say that's the reason why they didn't succeed, but it's because they quit before they ever figure out what works within a particular niche. And then they're not able to dial in that margin to actually show profit. Now, you're probably sitting there going, I've definitely heard people say that the margins are too slim on t-shirts. They'll say you can't make money with it. The margins are razor thin. You're only going to make 2%. Everyone's competing on price. And you know what? Some of that is partially true if you are selling on Etsy or Amazon or any other marketplace. Because on those marketplaces, your competition is sitting right next to you. You are literally neck and neck with them. So what happens is you end up competing on price because somebody on Etsy is going to list their shirt that looks pretty close to yours for $19.99. So you drop the price of your t-shirt to $18.99, and then someone else goes for $17.99. And it essentially becomes a race to the bottom and your margin dies. But here's what changes everything. When we sell on Shopify and we build a brand, we control the positioning, we control the pricing, and the entire brand experience that customers are having. On Etsy, your competition is literally one click away, where on Shopify, people have to actually go out and find your competition. And guess what? Most people aren't going to do that because we're lazy, and we're getting lazier every single day, especially with AI playing in the mix. They're not going to open up 10 tabs to compare your t-shirt to other similar t-shirts out on the web. If your store feels legit, if the design resonates with them, and the checkout process is relatively smooth, they're just going to buy it. And here's the actual math to break this down for you. I price my shirts on Shopify at $29.99. And then I have a flat shipping fee of $4.87. So on a one shirt order, that comes out to being $34.86 coming in per order. Now, my fulfillment cost is about $13.50. So if we take the total revenue, $34.86 minus my production cost of $13.50, this gives us a $21.36 gross profit per shirt. Now that $21 comes down to a perfect world where I didn't have to pay anybody to come to my store. They just magically appeared and bought. That would be like a very organic sale. But something else that eats into that $21 margin that we made comes down to the ads. Because we are our own brand and we are on Shopify, we have to physically bring people to our store. Now, this would be similar to, imagine one of those people holding signs out front of a brick and mortar store trying to get you in. That's essentially what our ad is doing on Facebook or Instagram. It's somebody dressed up in a banana suit holding up a sale sign, essentially. And that's what makes Shopify very different from a marketplace. On marketplaces, people are already coming to that place wanting to buy. On Facebook, that's just not the case because we're trying to get people from scrolling through reels and watching cat videos and, messaging friends to clicking our ad and ending up on our store. People aren't just randomly shopping. So when we're showing an ad to somebody on Facebook, we're essentially trying to break the pattern that they're in because they go to Facebook to maybe chat with a friend or watch a video where they got tagged in a post. And while they're there, we're trying to get them into a buying mood and come over to our store. So we run some ads, we get people to our store. The last part that we really need to dial in are the rest of the metrics around our brand. And this is where a lot of people will then come to say it's oversaturated, it doesn't work, the margin is razor thin. Because if you don't have your metrics dialed in to very particular percentages of like your overall sales, that is where you do get into trouble. Because if your advertising is too expensive, it's eating more and more into your margin. But if we have our marketing dialed in to the metrics that we need, we have our conversion rate where we need it on our store, we are then making a healthy margin of 15 to 20%. And this is where a lot of things get skewed, specifically with Shopify, because people won't look at their metrics. They don't understand where they need to have their numbers dialed into in order to be making profit on their store. Now, this is why t-shirts have worked for me year after year. It's because after all this time, I have figured out the right metrics that I need to be selling at in order to be making that 15 to 20% profit margin. And this is something that we teach in our free school community because we know the importance of having all of your metrics dialed in to these particular ranges. Because if they're out of range, profit is off the table. So if you're somebody who's interested in learning how to actually run a Shopify store where you are hitting those particular metrics in that range, so that you can be profitable, then click the link in the description below. I'll send you an invite to my community where you can gain access for free and go through our 51 hours of course material that is there for you. Again, it's no upsell. It's completely free for everybody who's watching this. So now that you understand how that profit margin works, specifically with selling t-shirts on Shopify, it's important to understand the reason why most people fail at selling t-shirts. And that is that they don't design for t-shirts. So you can't just make a cool design that you like and slap it on 12 different products and expect it to sell, because every product has its own design principles, and t-shirts are absolutely no different. So here's a test that I want you to do. You're going to go out to a mall or sit on a park at a bench and you're going to watch people. You're going to be a little creepy and you're going to people watch. And I want you to look at their shirts. Look at the graphic tees that they are wearing. Are there bold text on their shirts? Is it minimalist? Do they use negative space, which is like the t-shirt color coming through the design? Are they funny? Are they nostalgic? Are they statement driven? You'll start to notice these patterns, and those patterns are the best design skills that you can be putting in. Now, when you design with these patterns in mind, you understand what actually works on a t-shirt, and your designs are going to end up converting better. And that's the difference between someone who says, I tried t-shirts and they didn't work, and someone who builds a six-figure brand. Now, it's not just the product, it's also the execution. A t-shirt isn't just fabric, it is a statement that we are selling. When you stop thinking of t-shirts as simply a shirt and start thinking of them more as a billboard for somebody's identity, you're going to see a shift in the way that you design. Because people don't buy just t-shirts, they buy belonging. They buy a way to show the world, this is who I am and this is what I care about. This is my community and this is my tribe. And this is what some of the biggest brands in the world do. Think of Nike. Nike's all about performance and self-belief. You have Red Bull, which is about ambition and adrenaline. Apple, which is simplicity and control. And Disney, nostalgia and wonder. All of these are built around emotion, nostalgia, connection to the world around them. And your brand is going to do the exact same thing, just for your particular niche. So when someone wears your shirt, they're not just wearing, hey, this is triple blended cotton. They're broadcasting their identity. And that's something that people will pay over and over again, because when a t-shirt actually clicks and somebody gets it, they immediately feel seen and connected to your brand. So if you've been overthinking your first product, stop. You don't need something fancy or flashy. You don't need some undiscovered niche product. What you need is something that is proven. And that's t-shirts. They work. They have always worked. The market is growing at 13% year over year, and they are the #1 selling product on every major print-on-demand platform. It's the sellers who figure out how to design the right way, price strategically, and build an actual brand. Those are the ones who are going to keep winning year after year. Now, if you want to learn more on how to actually build your t-shirt brand the right way, then click the link in the description below so I can send you an invite to my completely free school community where you can go through our courses. You can have all of our resources completely for free, because print on demand can work. You just need to dial in your metrics. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It would absolutely mean the world to me. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.